I never start a day with my to-do list. I couldn't understand why somebody does work when they already have money. We see that there's a problem in education. You must find what actually starts your passion. The root of the fear is always death. Being brave is not having fear, it's facing the fear.
Welcome to Maximus Odyssey.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Maximus Odyssey, where we focus on improving health, wealth, and happiness. And today I'm here with my good friend, Miky Škoda, who is an inspiring entrepreneur, climber, traveler, scout, and educator, mentor, coach. I mainly see you as an inspiration to conquer fears and, let's say, go against the grain, to not be afraid to do anything and everything. And I'm super honored to have you here with me today.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the way you introduced me actually, because it's nice to hear that. But at the same time, you started that I can help with conquering fears, and I'm like, oh well, I hope so. But at the same time, it actually requires to have the fear. So it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean you won't have any fear or something. And,
right.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry. Thank you for introduction.
I'd love to dive deeper into fears and having or not having them. You're currently focused on, let's say, your app as well, or
Sure.
the, let's say, tech education connected project.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your number one thing, or what's your main focus today?
Well, main focus is, as we spoke before the podcast. Main focus is on three things at the same time, because one thing is the more visionary thing, because we see that there is a problem in education, or let's say in general with the jobs, with the market, and that it's the needs of the employers and employees they're changing, they're evolving very fast thanks to technological development.
Right.
And so the needs of the people are evolving, and so at the same time the needs of the education is evolving, and from my point of view, there's smaller and smaller difference between in education between if you're 15 or 50. You still need to learn somehow. You need to be the adaptive one, and so we see this gap between what you need from the education and what you actually get from educational system, which is something different from my point of view. And so there's the main focus in the vision, because that's where we are targeting with Mobilis, with the app. But it's long-term run, and of course we hope we'll get investment soon, and that we'll get first customers soon. It seems it's going to happen in next weeks or months. So it seems we are already somewhere. It's quite nice, but at the same time, there has to be the second part of the focus, which is, okay, but still I need money today. I need to make money today. So there are two other.
Even a non-profit needs to make some profit.
Pretty much. So there's focus on lectureship, mentoring, on this everyday services, and
I've seen that some of really big entrepreneurs who are much older than you have asked you to guide them on their path.
That's always an honor, and fortunately,
how's that happening, or what are you helping them with? I was always curious to understand this part.
Me too. Well, I believe that there are mainly, probably, but we can discuss that. But I believe there might be two main reasons. In this case, I can say what generally people could want from me.
Yeah.
But in this case, when they're older and probably even more experienced, I think there might be two kinds of motivation. First is that there is actually the generation and experience gap between entrepreneurs that grown up work-wise in 90s, in Czechia mainly, and so they have completely different experience and without internet and everything, and then they see someone who at least seems to be able to walk the ways the world works now and the market works now.
Right.
So one thing could be this like experience gap that they might have, and still they see that we can speak the same language, or at least from the point of view of the goals. So that might be the one thing. Second thing could be just the energy, that they might seem that they started with something, and then they, when you start doing something, even if you are the most open-minded person ever, somehow, with time you get a little bit more close-minded, because you see what doesn't work, where you can't go and so on. So they might want to get just this simple overview of a basically friend, but this friend is actually paid to be there for them and focus on them. So in normal friendship, it would be quite selfish. So I'm the hired friend, I would say, with some overview and experience from business. So that might be like motivation in these cases you described.
Gotcha. Exciting.
Hopefully. Thank you.
It's quite inspiring. The first time I heard this setup, when I was like starting my first business, and hearing you at a pretty young age advising, let's say, other big shots, is pretty exciting.
Well, honestly, I wouldn't choose to do so. I just wouldn't believe myself in that. Like to, be, now I'm 32, and when somebody first asked me to mentor, and it was exactly this case when somebody was objectively older and more experienced, but still asked me to mentor. I was, I think, like 25, so like 7 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that. And I was surprised, and I actually, well, I can imagine that if I was creative, but in my lifestyle, I can't imagine if that I would be the first to make this product. To say, okay, here I am, take my advice, I'm 25 years old child, and I'm gonna teach you how to do business. There will be, even to me, it would sound like quite stupid. So it had to be the way that I didn't plan to do that I started my own projects, some of them more like business-like, some of them more non-profit-like. And the people saw some energy and some experience in that. And that's the way they actually can ask me for something. So I almost never, I can't say never, but almost never promote myself as a mentor. I do my stuff, and I have to be full-time myself in the business and projects. And if somebody already sees the value, that they can ask me for some piece of my time, but you can promote yourself as full-time mentor, that where you would be getting
kind of
experiences.
Point.
So first you get the experience, and then you share it. So there was no plan to be a mentor.
Very cool. So your first project, big vision, changing the world of education. Love that. Actually, kind of my deepest rooted desire is to change the world of education for today's kids.
Exactly. But there's the biggest issue, that you want to work for the world of tomorrow, and of course you want to start today. You have to start today, because otherwise we would be just working a few years. And if you count it like into like lives that passed, in high schools or somewhere, we're actually sitting opposite the pedagogic faculty. so and I have like part-time there, actually. so I can't till the end of the
wonderful establishment.
Till the end of the month, I can't say a word against them. Then I will be able to. But anyway, if you see that there's some roadmap for like 4 years from now, and that 4 years is exactly the time somebody spends in high school, and that only in Czechia it's hundreds of thousands of people, and you would like to influence them already in the beginning, and not like let them spend their amazing part of life there. But at the same time, you need to be prepared. So it's like dilemma. It's big problem that I don't know how to solve. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, would love to come back to that. But to close your, let's say you said 3 main areas. So education, mentoring, coaching, and
mentoring, coaching, and let's say more like workshops. Now I'm making workshops on prompting AI and the basics.
Nice.
So yeah, and also sometimes it's like presentation skills and leadership and the stuff that average lecturers actually do. So some companies just have the reason to hire me instead of somebody else. So that's it. And that's
like ChatGPT, some internal automations.
Yeah, exactly. Like how to make your work more efficient, but at the same time, because I have the leadership experiences, I think the added value is not just. I think there are 2 added values. First is like of course there are like many courses how to understand prompting, how to learn prompting in ChatGPT, and I honestly believe that in this main value many people are better than me, and many lecturers are better. At the same time, because of my contact with Sarah, who was in AI long before it got cool,
right.
and that her one of her best friends is Tomáš Mikolov, who actually made the natural language, the language models on which are tools as ChatGPT based. Because of that, and because I'm in touch with him, I can get the people the context of what AI actually is, how it works, what to expect from the future, and not just teach the people like, okay, so today learn how to do prompting, how to put their task context, blah blah blah. So I put there the historical context and the future overview, what could be there. At the same time, my personal experience from the leadership can bring that when you actually learn how to do prompting, you know how to delegate your work, how to give your work to other people.
You
so
probably have a better insight into like the actual adoption.
You're actual better project manager.
Yeah.
So I do this prompting connected with project management.
Nice.
And that's something that I don't see that very often, this connection, despite it's quite logical. And yeah, and so and the third thing is something I'm already I'm learning now. So it's something I can actually like promote myself as someone who actually makes e-shops. But yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning working with this market because I've never started any e-shop, any physical products, except for merchandise in X Challenge and so on.
Yeah. So hobby now is
to learn actually how to work with the e-commerce, how to work with the physical products. Yeah, I hated that before.
Doing it backwards, right? It used to be the biggest hype before, and now you gotta go for quality.
Yeah. I didn't like that in the beginning because I was like, okay, mass production, and then pollution of the of the earth and so on, and it's very nice to complain about that and be poor and have no other way how to influence that than just not buying it. But what if you can choose which products you promote, what you actually do, and because you know that the people will buy it anyway, they will buy something,
right?
So you can at least like try to lead them through like what to buy, let's say. So I don't know if I became older this way, but at the same time I see that if I'm poor and just complain about something, I'm not actually changing anything. So despite it's more the most superficial part of my business I've ever done in my life, I still see that I can do it the way that it actually makes some very, very, very small change, but some change.
Yeah.
If you're not promoting just the fast fashion and so on.
Very cool.
Hopefully I'll be able to do something with that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, what I love about you and your journey is...
It already sounds amazing.
You never stop learning and exploring new areas. How do you kind of prioritize Because I'm sure it's not easy, and we all fail along the way. But what tools have helped you to, let's say, not fully crumble from all the numerous projects you're running?
That's one of the questions that you hope somebody will ask you, because it already seems like you're inspiration to someone, that the someone wants to ask you this, like, how do you prioritize? Because it actually puts me to a role where I could be inspiration, but I'm definitely not. like like the honest answer would be, I prioritize the way I wake up.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that
Like based on how you feel ready for the day, or
yeah, pretty much
what comes
it's
your way?
complete chaos, like complete. But there are two things that I found. But first, for context,
Yeah.
I didn't I did the, if you know Gallup personal test.
Mm-hmm.
There are 34 personal qualities that you have.
Oh yeah.
That you can use as strengths or weaknesses or whatever, how you want to use it, actually. My 34th, the weakest one, is consistence. You hear everywhere that businessman has to be consistent, and I'm like, like, what can I do now? But at the same time, that's not the way how you should interpret Gallup, because
Right.
because you can get consistent by your strengths. So you can do it your way. And what I found as my consistency in the way I prioritize, first thing is, I never start a day with my to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that to someone this would be the worst advice. So my best advice would be, find your own way, teach from yourself or learn from yourself. Because of course I heard the ideas you should do, like the things you don't want to do the most, and you start your day with overcoming this step, and swallowing the frog, or how is it called in English. At the same time, I knew that this doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work. I simply start my day with something I hate, and I have no energy for anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I become too proud of myself, and so I'm super ineffective.
Yeah.
So of course I have my to-do list. Of course I keep somewhere what has to be done. I prioritize by what's more important, what's less important, what can I do quickly, and so on. But at the same time, I know that I can't start my day looking on this list and choosing from what I should do. I need to start my day by being creative and think in my head, like, okay, don't choose from what you already wrote down, but think about what's the biggest priority, what's the most important, what pushes you somewhere through this day or through the business in general. Both answers are quite okay. So I start my day with thinking, okay, what should be done, what's the most important, and then either I add it to the to-do list and start doing that, or actually I found out mostly I find out something that what's already on the to-do list, but it connects the priorities, what's actually important, with not forgetting anything. So that's one thing that that leads me to this.
So you're using this like wise quote from our grandmas: "Morning's wiser than the evening." Letting your morning choose.
Could be, could be, yeah. Could be said like that.
Interesting.
And the second is like last year, or I think like, yeah, last year, last 1.5 years, I went through is it burnout in English? I would say, yeah, like the feeling where you feel like nothing, like, of course, like there are nice things awaiting you in the future, but only personal, not the work wise. I felt like, okay, I done my best already, despite the best is not that big deal. So I felt like I couldn't understand, like, why somebody does work when they already have money. Like why do they wake up and actually do something? It's work. You should, I was like 80 years old guy in a body of 31 years old, and it felt terrible. But what I would say woke me up was the idea that okay, but still nobody will do anything for me, which doesn't necessarily mean that I have to feel lonely, but I'm alone in my life, and I choose not just what I do, but also my feelings about that. And I simply asked myself, I actually didn't want to solve the situation. I wasn't creative enough to do that. So it was not like trying to push through my own
Misery.
Yeah, through that. I wasn't trying to do that.
Yeah.
It just went logically. So I asked myself, okay, do I actually want to be frustrated every day? Because it's my choice. Obviously, it's my personal choice. Do I want to be frustrated and like lazy? What if I could look at the stuff I do and I don't like? What if I could look at them the way that I would discover something in them, and that would be maybe like interesting? And yeah, I found out again that I'm inventor in my soul, that I'm discoverer, and that I have to discover in everything. So I started looking at everything the way that I do only what I want to do. Because if I feel like I don't want to do something, I still want to do it. Like evolutionary, you still do only things that prevents you from getting hurt or die.
Yeah.
So basically, you do only things that you want to do, and even if you feel like you don't want to. So I just learned myself. Okay, so do anything you want to do today. And I already, like the previous myself, already gave me some journeys. I described it through 3, and so I do only what I want to do the day.
Yeah.
And,
Actually,
sorry, maybe just to add one thing. It doesn't teach me how to be super productive and work 20 hours a day. Actually, trying to work like permanently, like I don't know, like I put my working time between 9 in the morning and 8 in the evening, which is like, let's say 11 hours. And of course, I never work 11 hours, never ever. But this way, I'm thinking about that now, teaches me how to be more productive actually. But at the same time, when I don't feel productive, just to go for a walk and be okay with that.
Nice.
And so I feel like I live better. At the same time, if somebody listening to this would try to be inspired by that, I believe I could destroy their lives by that. Because I taught this from myself and from my own behavior. And that's the biggest value for myself.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a lot of like psychological evidence behind what you just described.
And I didn't know about that.
Yeah, well, of course, each one has their own way, their own path. It's important to recognize your own patterns and see what works for you. But what, for example, psychologists, psychiatrists who I had discussions with, especially like this one specific psychologist, when I was actually in a similar situation, like burnt out, depressed, like ADHD skyrocketing, unable to do anything other than like maybe watch some series, but even that wasn't very interesting. They were like, start by, if you could put in your week or in your day only the activities that you enjoy, like start with that. Or like actually, even if everything's fucked and you need to do, go to work and find little pockets of time when you really do something you enjoy and, stick to it and be accountable to yourself that you will do something pleasant, like read a few pages in a book, go for a walk, go for a walk in the forest or jump in the sauna, actually schedule watching a movie and going to the cinema, either alone with friends, doesn't really matter, but it's more about, doing it, planning it, and achieving those little baby steps that actually bring you joy, on top of which you can build up the momentum again and then start doing things that are harder and harder and harder. And yeah, now I started my day today by jumping into 0 degrees Celsius water for 5 minutes because I want everything else in the day to be easier. But I wouldn't have gotten there if I didn't, start with baby steps before.
I think I might have two ideas to this. First would be probably that it seems like you personally have to, or you must, if you want to live, if you want to live, let's say at least partially happily, you must find what actually starts your passion. The thing is, when I wouldn't say depressed, but more like burnout. It's let's say it's probably similar feeling, but I never had official clinical depression, so I can't say. But I put I woke up and every day I put my in front of my eyes and in my brain the idea, okay, I didn't achieve anything yesterday, so I probably won't achieve anything today. The statistics work, and you work with your personal statistics, which said you would be shit again, and so I built the massive barrier that I would feel to be something only when I step over these huge things. For example, completing the vision of changing educational system, and of course you won't do it today. How
it's never ending.
Yeah, exactly. It's a mission. It's something that I probably will be happy dying during working on that and being all right with never-ending process. But I woke up with this barrier in front of me, I have to overstep this to be something. And what actually works is pretty much the opposite. Be a little bit proud of yourself, by anything, even by I don't know, even by being okay with you not doing anything, or watch a series, play a game. If you are okay with that, if you are not, do something else, try something else. To be a little bit proud of yourself. Any task, anything, even like procrastination. Let's say cleaning a room. And if you find day to day that this process helps you start actually working or doing something, that's probably your way of how to do it. And that's why I wanna say that maybe for someone it's actually chewing the frog, doing the worst task for today, and it starts making them productive. Or for someone it could be much easier step. Even like the soldiers, they say do your bed. That's the smallest task, and it motivates them a little bit, to start actually doing something,
start snacking those wins.
And to feel that they have something in control. So my way is more with doing my bed, despite I didn't do my bed today. But to me it's better than doing the worst task in the beginning. But for someone it could be exactly the opposite. You just need to find your way. And the second thing I wanted to say, and sorry I'm making monologue out of this, if you don't mind.
No, please. I'm super curious.
The second thing would be that, of course, I went through a few of these tests of personalities to find out who I am, to be more okay with myself. Let's say to be okay with myself was the goal. But I'm quite confident to say that going through test of personality doesn't get you closer to the goal. It might get you closer to working in teams, to name your strengths and weaknesses that you maybe didn't know about, or you probably knew about them, but you didn't name them in this context. But to find your value actually doesn't help that somebody else calls the value or names the value for yourself. Because I already knew probably a few of these things, as I described it before, that I have to be the one to choose what I want to do. But if you read this in some bullshit self-development book, that somebody just copy and pasted somebody else's experience, it doesn't actually help you, despite it sounds logical. You can read the psychology articles and everything, and everything sounds logical because it's based on statistics and on somebody else's experience. But even if you know everything about the world, and about the psychology and about yourself officially, if you don't accept that, actually, if you don't find it out yourself, you probably won't appreciate yourself the same way. You still need to get the aha moment. It can come from the book, but I believe I read quite many of them and listened to many podcasts and everything.
And even wrote a book.
And I wrote a book, but still I needed to get the aha moment from my own finding out how I, myself, Miky, what was the best solution for myself. And it's never the most logical thing that you might learn, or sometimes it could be, but you can compare yourself to statistics, but to yourself.
How did that come about?
Well, that's what I wanted to say. It was just a reaction to, as you said, that there might be like psychological evidence, everything, and of course it can help you name something in better context. It's better than nothing, of course. But still, like, naming your own value probably won't start with reading psychological article.
You can look at the map, but unless you go there, you haven't been there.
What helped me a lot was when I asked my friend when people started going crazy. You know, in a discussion or in a movie, you can hear he or her or somebody got crazy. So I was like, okay, so when does this moment happen actually? When does somebody get crazy? Like, is it like a twist? Is it like a moment, or
like
is it a process, or what is that? And he explained to me that it probably is the moment they start believing in something. For example, believing that it's okay to put your poop in I don't know, wherever. You start thinking that it's okay, or you start believing that they are watching you. And that it's actually the moment you start believing something. That's the moment when you can go crazy. But at the same time, it could be the moment where you turn from homeless to Elon Musk. You start believing in something despite it doesn't have to have the evidence. We weren't born with evidence that we will be successful, but you start believing that you are the one who will be. For example, you start acting like that to yourself and, by the way, to the others, and they repay you with that. So actually the word or the process of starting believing in something, I learned that it's quite powerful, I would say. It can actually destroy countries, which I wouldn't say is really creative and productive, but unfortunately it's this strong.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was your aha moment?
To me, it's I'm just curious. To me, it was naming myself as a that I have to discover that it's the only way I can enjoy something, and it's the only way I can be creative. That I must not know what's going to be the outcome. I want to discover the outcome. I want to be the smart one. Despite everybody tells me at the end of the book, I want to be the one who goes through that. It's not the best example, but that I need to discover that the process itself is the most valuable to me. So if we went with Sarah and 3 friends to Rome, I wanted to discover that, make my own opinion, and then maybe read on Wikipedia what actually happened there, but then compare it to my own experience, and not the opposite the opposite way, that I would learn everything and then just compare what I already learned, because history was still wrote by humans, and there's still, despite almost no chance, but there's still some chance you will discover something more. You get it to a little bit better context in comparison to if you read everything, all the theory, and then it doesn't, that doesn't wake up your creativity. Or maybe in your case it could, but in it doesn't. I need to do my own opinion, then compare it to what was already written and discovered, and then I find out, oh, maybe there could be like some more way how to do it, and you can apply this to business, to walking any path.
So it seems like you have a good grasp on your own brain, or your own wants and processes.
Hopefully. Thank you.
How have you built that? Because I suppose you haven't been born with it, right? Is there any like other than reading and trying things, is there anything that helped you understand yourself better?
Well, I honestly don't read that much. I read maybe even too many books about this self-development, I would say. And what's actually more helpful is my own experience. And it's at some point some believe that that at one point I know that life goes like the sinusoid, I guess it's English. Yeah, I guess
it's a frequency.
Yeah, that sometimes that there are good times, that there are bad times as well, and it will end at some point. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's your success or problem that you go through these good bad times. It's your responsibility how you react to that. But anyway, very likely it will end up at some point this time. If there are no let's say, I don't know, like health or life-threatening stuff that you can't actually influence, but if you can influence, which is almost everything except for your, I don't know, death, then it will probably end up this state in this life. And I started believing that I can end up these like bad times, let's say, and that somehow lightened up the overview about myself, because usually when it's good times, I feel like unfortunately they will end up at some point.
Yeah.
When there are bad times, I can't get rid of the feeling that, oh, I'm the one who made these bad times and it will never end. I'm like that. I always was like that, and I will always be like that. And what helps me and helped me in general, I believe, is getting this overview that this will end. I can be the one who ends it, and then it's okay. So how will Miky solve the situation? Like, surprise yourself somehow, and then I start being creative, and it actually works. Like who's the Miky from the future who solved it?
Yeah,
you start from the story, you start from the article in TV or in newspaper. It actually helps me very much, even in project planning. I imagine.
like start with the end in mind.
Yeah, pretty much. I would say if I do like any project or business, I start like, okay, what's gonna be written on the headline of the article in 3 years. It's just imagination because it motivates me, but by the way, it quite helps with the project management because you can understand the steps, what the future Miky did. So
exciting.
Works.
Yeah. It's a very cool way. I saw it like in some project management books as a recommendation, right? Like
really,
you put the end here, then you put their starting point, figure out the milestones along the way, and just kind of start adding, the steps.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like
to get there.
It's like Cartman in South Park,
Yeah, and then try to squish it to as short of a time frame as possible.
Because Cartman in South Park, that he made a plan. He was like, okay, we need to be super fucking rich. How to do that? Oh, I have a simple plan. There are 3 steps. So he wrote how to become super fucking rich, and first step, second step. Well, the third is we became super fucking rich. So let's make just these two first 2 points, and that's it.
Nice.
I believe it's quite wise way how to make projects. Actually, you need to name the goal, but whatever.
We oftentimes complicate things too much when you limit yourself to only a few points, or like 3 things is usually what one remembers from anything. 3 steps. That's a nice way of looking at it.
Quite easy. I don't think the creators were that creative. They thought that deeply about that, but actually, I think it could be quite simple as that.
Cool. So to get super specific on the topic we started at the beginning of the conversation, fear. Let's say I do know what the steps are, but I'm afraid of taking that difficult step, like launching a product, or I'm a bit nervous about launching this, let's say, talking podcast. Even though I love being in it, just like pushing it out there into the masses is, let's say, still lights up some exclamation points or red flags. And I'm sure like when you were traveling, or
Mm.
the X challenge is like perfect example of that. You inspire hundreds of people who like went around Europe, just stopping random cars, getting crazy experiences with random individuals that would never have happened if they didn't, go all in into these new things. Yeah. So how does one break through the fear?
Well, there could be manipulation or there could be inspiration, but anyway, very often there needs to be some agent, somebody or something that somehow,
like a catalyst.
yeah, let's say, because somebody could inspire you, which is from my point of view the safest and healthiest possible way, that you get inspired. It doesn't like push you through something, but at the same time nowadays, the term nudge learning, which is like pushing someone through like step and giving the obstacles somebody else chose for you, it actually helps you like find yourself in new context, in new situation you would never choose, because you wouldn't even think about that the situation actually exists, and that you could actually be in the situation. So this nudge learning method could be done by somebody who inspires you in a TV or something, and it just came to you at the right time, that okay, so what if I could do this? I think it's combination with intelligence, because that wakes up the what if question, especially towards yourself, like what if I was this and that or there. And but sometimes you even want to allow someone to manipulate you. Somebody sometimes
like hypnosis, or
no, but sometimes you find out that it's amusing and exciting for you to do to overcome yourself in some group of people, for example. It's manipulation as hell. We can call it
the social pressure.
Yeah, we can call it gamification or whatever, but it's manipulation, and you allow the people to manipulate you.
Right.
And so when somebody's lecture or something like that, I feel like the only way how to be fair and clear to the people is, I'm gonna you can say it's gamification, but to me, and what we do in X Challenge, we say we're gonna motivate you. We're gonna do this and that. I'm not sure if we explicitly say the word manipulate, but probably maybe even that. And sign here that you want to actually be manipulated. Because you can call it some nice words, gamification, nudge learning, and so on. But you need to manipulate the people to do something they wouldn't do voluntarily, because otherwise, why would they pay you for that? So it's logical. It's not like a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. They just need to consciously know what they are agreeing on, that they're actually agreeing on something. And
if I die, it's my own fault.
pretty much. Because it's gamified reality. It's still reality. You have the responsibility for how you choose to react on the challenges you were put into. Like, you might not accept them. You might choose some other challenges. You might choose the way you, as a person, want to go through the challenge. But it's still your choice, and you must know that it's your choice. But anyway, I started with that there has to be, or might be, some agent. It could be like present person, or it could be somebody who inspires you. You can see a documentary and you want to feel like, oh, what if I went to Morocco, for example, and there's this what if moment. And I think that there might be like two effective ways how to go through fear. One would be to find what's the bigger fear. For example, dying and lived life, which is in my way. It's like of course I'm scared of releasing some social media posts. Even that, it's so small a thing, but still. But like my bigger fear, honest fear, which comes from my values actually, and from the evolutionary need to survive, not just physically, but also somehow mentally in this world. Bigger fear would be not doing it, actually. it's worse. So finding the bigger fear, like what's behind that. Second thing would be in my case is the curiosity that to me actually is a seed of life at some point. The curiosity where you want to discover something because you want to learn, maybe even risk, and then share your experience. So that would be the easy answer. But of course, the second way could be actually not trying to change the fear with something else, which could be motivation or bigger fear. Second could be actually focusing on that fear itself, and it could be called exposition therapy, which is used in therapy. We use
exposure therapy
or exposure therapy. Yeah. We use these methods, for example, in one workshop I've been doing with companies where you put people through quite simple challenges, like, okay, you have half an hour to make 50 crowns. Make them, not like not how's it called when you ask people for money for
no
nothing.
begging.
Yeah, no begging, but make the money. We have half an hour. It's a simple task, but of course it attacks the social fear, and everything. It's simple challenge. Like I believe like anyone can make 50 crowns in the middle of Prague, like in half an hour. And it actually proves that it's true, Or they make at least 20, but they make something, It opens the
which
idea.
ways did work?
I can tell later, but anyway, the point is that of course it opens some fears, despite they're just social fears that the people probably are not gonna kill you. Despite in your head you might react the same way as if somebody was planning to kill you, that you are actually scared. You are not doing, you don't want to go through that. But you focus on that fear. Okay, so what will happen then? And this is how exposure therapy works with for example, arachnophobia.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the spider. So what would be the worst thing that the spider could do? And the people don't want to even think about what would happen. And that's the problem. They don't know what's the fear actually. Their fear of probably themselves being in more fear, because they can't allow themselves to even think like what's at the end. And very often the end is very unlikely to happen. And even if it might be not that bad. So after a few days or weeks of the therapy, they say, oh, well, the spider could start climbing on my hand and arm. Okay, and what will happen then? Well, it could go to my hair. Okay, what will happen? And the people start panicking because they find out that they don't actually know, like, okay, so what could actually happen? So they end up usually that it climbs in your ear or mouth and nothing will happen. Like, okay, super unpleasant. I believe like nobody, even without arachnophobia, would like spider in their ear or in their mouth. But still, like, what will happen actually? What will you die or what? And then the people logically might be even scared of dying from like fibrillation, or so some problem with the heart or something. But it's not the spider itself, and. So this is what we did with even with these challenges. Like, okay, so think about the worst possible scenario that could happen, and then like, okay, is it actually likely to happen? It's not very often, and even if it would, like, how it will harm you for the rest of your life. Like what will actually happen? Like, okay, you will feel bad for a while. So
it's true. Like, I feel like we oftentimes kind of close ourselves in this box of what will happen if it doesn't work. Like, what's the kind of worst case scenario, or a range of the worst case scenarios, and just repeating them again and again. And
you need to think, what was the end at the if you want to be this practical and logical, okay, but what's actually at the end of the scenario?
You can actually like go through it step by step, and like, for example, the Stoics, ancient Greek philosophers, actually supported this idea, but of like, imagine the worst that can happen, but for the reason so that you're prepared for it. Right, okay, if you die, then you die. Like, you chose to go to war.
And
fair enough.
And you don't know about that, so
yeah.
because you're dead, so it's quite easy.
But at that point, you don't really care.
Yeah, exactly.
But so kind of but I think it's called like premeditatio malorum in Latin, because it's like premeditating,
like pre-think the bad,
the bad stuff. Yeah. Or it's like the mental part or the physical part, like treating the body rigorously so it is obedient to the mind. So like the cold plunges or the heavy workouts, fighting, things of that nature, kind of putting yourself in harm's way for practice so that when the actual moment comes, you're ready for it. That's kind of the how to deal with the bad part. But then, of course, in today's day and age, like 90% of the time, it's not going to hurt you or it's not going to harm you in any significant way. So you can focus on the positive, actually. And very few of us ask, what if it does work out?
Right?
That's like the positive article.
That's one thing. But second thing is, okay, so what if doesn't it work out? What will actually happen? Like at the end, that's what I was saying. Like if you want to be that practical, that logical, and not risk, okay, so you probably are thinking like, okay, what if it doesn't work out? But okay, so even in this scenario, think to the end of the scenario, because that would be stupid to end up, okay, they will refuse me. But what's the end of the scenario? And the refusal is not the end, actually. Because like what will happen after that? What will happen in a month from that? And probably nothing, no bad, interaction. It could be proving yourself stupid for a while. That could be the fear at the same time. But okay, so let's face another situation. But if I could like
in a few years, nobody will remember.
Pretty much, yeah. So first would be actually focusing on the fear itself. The thing is, as you said, like 99%, even more percent of the situations in nowadays life that we fear are probably not threatening our life compared to past. But still, we act like that because, in theory, any fear, if you look to the very end of the fear, what's behind that, you are scared of death. Because it's the same emotion that evolution brought us to this day, that we could not only survive our own experiences, but now as humans we can survive even other people's experiences and not jump on the train because we see what can happen. So the end of the fear or the root of the fear is always death or some harm which leads to death. And when you look at this theory, then you find out that being scared of talking to people is pretty much the same fear, because when we are cavemen, the worst possible thing would be some other herd or group of people killing you, or if you speak to your people and you prove yourself as an idiot, your group of people can refuse you and you're alone, and being alone means death. So you are scared of being refused by your community. And it's actually pretty much fear of death that comes from the beginning of the way we made herds, and this is quite deep inside ourselves. So we are scared of death, pretty much. It's this feeling. It's actually super serious. The fear of speaking to people, but still, it doesn't allow you to it doesn't justify you staying at home and not doing anything. It's just stupid,
Right.
But despite I understand that, but it's still stupid.
Yeah. The same, let's say, internal systems that kicked in when you saw a tiger, like thousands of years ago, are kicking in now when someone puts a dislike on your post.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
Very interesting. I guess the levels of adrenaline might be a little lower, but we have the same brain as we did back then.
The physiological reaction is pretty much the same. Like still there this two ways of reaction to threat, or three, let's say. First is the fight, fly, or freeze could be the third, but you react, and you are motivated to that by the sympathicus nerve. It's a nerve system. It's actually nerve reaction. It's a physiological reaction combined by nerves and hormones chain cascade of reactions of your body, but it's still the same. It's reaction to the fear, so the body reacts the same way pretty much.
So what is your experience that comes to mind when I say overcoming a fear? What's one of the biggest challenges you are proud that you overcame?
Actually, what comes to my mind is going to my first expedition abroad, like traveling actually, because it opened door pretty much to the way I was perceiving not just the world but also myself. Because I was watching, the national TV programs, I saw that people are traveling, and I still felt like, okay, it's in TV, they do it. It's amazing that they do it.
Yeah.
It's like it felt like it's another species. It felt like it's not, the world is not made for me, or I'm not made for the same. It was impossible to get inspired by that to me, because I couldn't believe at some point that I could be also the one, let's say, in the TV, or the one traveling.
Yeah.
And it was the times when there was no Instagram, no Facebook, so there was no inspiration like everywhere, and the tools like okay, so buy a Ryanair ticket or something. So I was just watching, but not experiencing, not understanding that I could travel as well. But at some point, I somehow felt like, okay, but what if I could? I actually wanted to do it. And so I took a group of scouts, and we planned it too long. It was like 1.5 years planning, but we went to Scotland for 12 days. But that opened my eyes pretty much, because, well, there are two learnings from that I got. First was that 1.5 years planning is nothing, because we done nothing. The only important thing was the 5 minutes when we bought the ticket. Right. There has to be a step from where you actually can, go back. So if you wanna, I don't know, sell your products or your services, you can plan everything, but the only thing what counts is actually when you actually send the email to the person, or LinkedIn, or call them, or whatever. That's when it counts. Like, you can plan everything, but you anyway can't plan the exact situation. You always find some other outcome. So
the energy needs to shift.
Yeah. So one outcome was that there has to be the 5 minutes. No, the 1.5 years, it's worth nothing, because still it was completely different there. We weren't able to speak because despite you learn English, in Scotland, it doesn't feel like speaking English.
It was like an expedition in nature.
Yeah. And it was beautiful 12 days. It was Isle of Skye, most beautiful place I've ever visited. Like, I counted that it was like 48 countries, and still, like, this Scottish island was amazing. And I was 17 years old at that time. Nice. 17, turned 18 there actually. And I was leading like 8 people expedition. So it was quite a big deal from my point of view that day. Nowadays, like, I traveled somewhere, okay, and what's next? Like, well, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but to me it was, because I found myself in a context that I didn't expect I could actually get there. Right. So that's one thing, the 5 minutes rule, that it has to actually happen. There has to be the step. The planning can prepare you somehow, but don't overthink that. That doesn't help actually the actual outcome. The second thing that I took from that is that, me personally, I can actually find myself in context which I was watching before only in TV. So I started understanding that actually I could maybe do even a business, despite there was nobody in my surrounding who did business. So I was able to start to actually think about starting some business. And before I wasn't able to, because it was no way how to even allow that to your head.
Like, breaking through one barrier opened up so many more doors.
Yeah, exactly. That you find out that you don't have to be the one who only watches, and that was the outcome. And maybe the third, which connects more to a question about the fear, was that the biggest things how I overcame my fear mainly were amusing. It was fun. I probably didn't know it's gonna be fear, or even if it was, I found a way how to be the discoverer again. And to discover is never ever safe thing. Right. It's never safe. So it's always doing something despite your fear or despite the threat.
Yeah. I mean, you can always, do your best to prepare, set some, I don't know, like when I was doing like round of double backflips, for example, that was my biggest dream, but also biggest fear to do like a flip and before landing doing another flip still
wow.
in the air.
Oh yeah, wow.
And yeah, like you just start, right? Like first you do it into, like you need to learn one backflip with doing a couple of angles, degrees extra. And then a little more, a little more, a little more.
And then you flat,
Yeah, you hurt yourself
fall,
a few times. You first jump into like a foam pit where even if you fall on your head, you're safe.
Oh yeah.
And then slowly but surely kind of building up that resilience, that confidence is how I've been able to achieve some of my dreams. Kind of, yeah, exactly. Like putting the energy in, taking that step, and seeing how something a little harder than before kind of rattles or does not rattle your current state.
It reminded me one thing with overcoming fears and myself and so on. The people felt like I'm doing at some point that I'm doing some things that could be considered cool or productive or whatever, and they still were like, "Oh, but you don't seem that confident. Like believe in yourself." My first reaction was, "Yeah, nice to hear that, but I'm not confident. So like that, how does it help me, that they're saying that?" And what actually changed that a little bit was considering myself. Okay, so what if I'm not actually the victim of the situation? What if I'm actually the worst selfish fucker? because they're trying to help. They're trying to tell me like, believe in yourself. What if I, at least for a second, try to listen to what they're saying? What if just the belief in yourself? What if actually that's the tool? You don't need to find 10 steps how to believe in yourself. What if believing that you can actually believe in yourself and listening to the people is actually the thing already? That's it, and that they are giving you the tool. So instead, I put, instead of feeling like a victim of my life or of my reactions or my situations. When somebody was praising me, I was like, there's a shame that I can accept that, because I didn't believe in myself and so on. So I felt like a victim. But I just tried, thinking like, okay, so what if I'm not the poor guy, the victim? What if I'm the selfish idiot, the worst one in the situation?
Right.
And I actually was. Because it's super selfish not to listen to people and to start twisting in your head. It's selfish. It's unfair. Despite and it helped me because one of my biggest values in life, I believe, is fairness. So I found myself, I'm actually not acting fair when I start staying in my head. Listen to the people for a while, at least for a second. Try to think, what if it was the way they say? And that actually gave me confidence. That was this simple. Accepting that I go against my own values when I don't believe in the people telling me to believe in myself.
Interesting.
That gave me confidence pretty much, actually accepting that I'm not the victim, but the superficial, selfish idiot who's unfair.
Yeah. I remember this line from Joe Rogan where he's like, imagine as if you're right now the main hero of your movie.
Oh.
And there's a film crew, following you around, your every move, your every step of the way. What would the hero of the movie do now? They probably wouldn't scroll on TikTok for 2 hours, but they would, go and do something. So just go do something. Doesn't mean you will succeed.
Yeah. Or if you scroll down to this podcast, maybe even that's all right. I believe that even the heroes sometimes go to toilet.
And well, of course, that's what they cut out after, right?
Sometimes they need to, they need to see the world that they are reacting to. So they probably also have the TikToks and Facebook. I think the only difference is between the reactivity or the way, the amount of how much you react and the amount of how much creatively you try to be proactive.
Right. Right.
And that's the only thing I think that is the only way how to become a hero. That you just put a little bit more proactivity and creatively react
Yeah.
to the world, but put there your creativity. That's already your value.
Putting our energy out there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And yeah, like pushing through the fear, not being afraid to fail, because like every one of us fails. That's the only way to learn what works, what doesn't. It's like a decision tree, right? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no.
That's the thing. Like we hear it like every day. Don't be afraid to fail. But
it's natural.
Yeah, and I was, and I am, and they say like being brave is not not having fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's facing the fear.
Right.
It's like going across, like with the fear, accepting that okay, so that means that you're experienced, you're intelligent, you actually, it's not naive.
Mm-hmm.
You actually know what's threatening you.
Yeah, it's not dismissing it.
So yeah,
accounting for it.
because if you didn't have the fear, that's naivety. That's not bravery. Being brave means that you have the fear, but you go with it. You go like you accept that. But what I want to say, of course, I heard this hundreds of times, and I still was scared, and I still am. But what helps me is actually listening to people like you, who just told me, okay, so don't be afraid of the failure, and imagining like okay, so what if me as a Miky was capable of not being afraid of the failure? What if this, your advice, don't be afraid, actually is it? And it is pretty much. But unfortunately, we need this aha moment to find out that I personally can actually be not afraid of the failure, or at least face the fear.
Right.
So, but it's this simple. It's actually, don't be afraid. That's it.
Yeah. And to reflect back on the heroes, like who are the heroes who you look up to the most? Oftentimes they are the ones who have been faced with the biggest difficulties and who have, struggled, but then overcame it and came out on top. Like going all the way back to like Greek mythology, for example, all the biggest heroes need to, fight off the greatest monsters and maybe lose a limb or lose a loved one, but came out victorious at the end.
Yeah. Well, it's hard because
the Odyssey, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, I see one problem in stories, that they're a mighty tool, but the way we want to perceive them, and that we will be able to listen to one story, is that there has to be some point, there has to be some idea at the end, something that you can learn from that, because otherwise why would you listen to that? Like, of course, it could be just amusing, it could be just fun, but it has to have some idea, like it must be something that, I don't know, like surprised you, or the heroes evolved somehow, even if it's like a TV series, whatever. There has to be some evolution in that. But I see that in real life, and in like, if you look not just like in everyday life, but also, but you add to that like historical probability. If you look at centuries, you see that no story has actually a point, because there's no end of the story. Like, you can end the story till today. You can choose what you want to learn from some story. If it's like a book or a historical event, you can choose what today you could learn, but you can't know what will be the point tomorrow. To clarify, like, now we praise, or we feel Caesar was a cool guy. He was Hitler of his time. He killed 2 million girls. Like, come on, he was Hitler. He was no hero. He was hero. I don't know. To me, I feel towards him that he was more like a hero. But I don't know if I was allowed to say that like 50 years after his death.
Yeah.
I can't say today that Hitler was hero. I don't think Hitler was hero, but what can I bet on? in 1,000 years from now, people will wear T-shirts with Hitler with no emotional value to that, because he was some leader, and they will not have their grandmothers who experienced that terrible things he done, you know. So the history shows that there's no point, that people can love you, then again hate you, then again love you, and whatever. And so you asked me nice question, but put it to context where I have a problem with points of the stories, because you're always choosing the point towards the context of today's life, to your values that can change over time.
Of course.
You know,
I think it just like nicely, like we talked about a lot of stuff and like building your own story and etc. But at the end of the day, or now, is the only thing we actually control. The only thing we can actually impact is how we act right now and how we want to move towards the future.
Exactly. So to my answer, actually, to who is my hero, I choose the context where I'm confident that I choose them, like till today, and specific context. I never look to someone that I want to be like him or her.
Right.
Never ever. It's only I get inspiration from the information that I know that they're not full all information, and I just choose few information that I want to be inspired by. For example, Elon Musk inspires me as a visionary. Not even as a businessman. I wouldn't like to be a manager as he is. But as a visionary, he inspires me, because it itself is some value.
Taking a little piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. So I choose some part of information that I want to choose. I know it's half blind, actually, and I choose some person who inspires me in some way. So I have few people in these few different contexts.
Beautiful.
Creativity. Kazma, for example, to me is creative hero. It doesn't mean that the way he uses that I agree with. Mainly I do, but it's not important if I do or don't.
Yeah.
I am inspired by his creativity, or the way how he is able to put team together to be creative together.
Yeah.
Let's say the way he works, and so I can be inspired even by people I don't agree with, but it can be just one piece of the context I want to choose, and that's why I started this thing about the points, because or about the end of the story, because there's never end. I always choose what I want to learn from that. So I choose like one by one which characteristic I want to have, but it doesn't even mean that I'll be the same or whatever.
Thank you. That's been a deep dive. I feel like we could talk here for hours, if not days.
Thank you for amazing questions. Thank you.
And as you mentioned, kind of rounding it up into the end of the story and taking some points in, which points would you like to give to someone who's listening, possibly in a similar situation, or like planning the trip for a year and a half? Maybe someone's been doing it for 5 years, who knows? And still haven't, made the jump. What last golden pieces of information would you like to leave with them?
Use this question, what if, towards yourself as much as you can. It gives doubts, but that's your responsibility if you want to react on them. Maybe they have some sense, but maybe not. So choose your reaction to the doubts and use them, because it's always also a tool. But work with this what if question. Can be very helpful and surprising, and could be a huge discovery in your life. Very nice.
What if? Amazing. Thank you so much. This has been my hero, Miky Škoda.
Appreciate it.
And where can we go find out more about you? On social media, Miky Škoda everywhere.
Yeah, MikySkoda.cz and
Mobilist?
Mobilist doesn't have website yet, because we worked right there on the idea, then presenting it now. but it will be soon, and maybe in the time when you release this. And but otherwise, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram as well. Miky Škoda. I believe I'm the only one in the world with this name. So thank you so much.
See you guys in the next one.
Now, subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode, and please share this with your friends if you think this could help them.